Hey everyone, Daniel here and welcome back to another video. I hope all of you are having an absolutely phenomenal day out there. As always, here today, I want to talk to you about big digital assets and give you guys an in-depth look into my thoughts on it by first focusing in on Netcoins, that aspect of their business, then trying to value the blockchain intelligence group, and lastly, I'm going to give you guys my thoughts on what I'm doing with BIGG and if I'm buying or selling. And I know some of you may think that I'm pessimistic on BIGG Digital. First and foremost, I'm not. I want to give it a realistic look, and you might be a little bit surprised with what I say at the end. So if you find some value in this video, please consider subscribing, and let's get into it. First and foremost, let's take a look at what's happened to BIGG as a stock over the past couple of weeks. I know we covered it a bit over 2-3 weeks ago, but I mean, if we look at roughly the 6-month, 1-month chart, we'll see that BIGG Digital peaked right in the middle of April. That's along with the cryptocurrency market and a lot of other cryptocurrency related stocks. And then, it was literally a falling knife for right around a month and has since stabilized around the $1.60, $1.70 level here. Despite the massive market rebound we've seen across a lot of stocks, BIGG has stayed relatively flat, which might make it a pretty interesting opportunity. And I hope to communicate to you the opportunity that BIGG provides as a stock in this video. First and foremost, let's focus in on Netcoins. What is Netcoins and what is the business opportunity there? When we look at Netcoins, they are a cryptocurrency brokerage, obviously under the BIGG Digital brand. BIGG owns them fully. And when we talk about Netcoins, they have in and around 5 to 10 different cryptocurrencies that you can trade commission free. BIGG obviously collects a bit of a spread off of each transaction, anywhere from 1 to 1.5% from each transaction. So as the platform grows, as more users come onto the platform, and as total trading volume increases, BIGG Digital's revenue will increase alongside that, which is very exciting. And when we talk about Netcoins, when their revenue that business generated, we can take a look at their latest press release here on May 5th, and we found out that April revenue for Netcoins was in and around $1.55 million. Now, I used this as kind of the basis of my model a couple of weeks ago, and a lot of you said that, it doesn't price in growth. May is a phenomenal month. So, let's take a look at May and try and value that. When we talk about the month of May, there has been a very big increase in demand for trading cryptocurrencies. Why? Because we've seen a major pullback and a lot of major volatility, causing revenue to most likely increase for cryptocurrency brokerages and exchanges like Netcoins. Now, this is a comment left on one of my videos, and I've highlighted this. Norman Forrest, from my understanding, this individual, they work at Netcoins or at BIGG Digital, from my understanding, and what they've done here is they, obviously this is from 2 weeks ago, they gave some data pertaining to kind of what Netcoins revenue was for the first 10 days of May, and this is very interesting as it allows us to potentially price in a scenario or potentially come up with a current valuation for the business from the Netcoins side of BIGG. And we'll see, this is what they said. How is Netcoins performing in May so far? While we are only 10 days in May, Netcoins revenue is tracking to set another monthly record. For the first 10 days of May, revenue shows a 35% jump over April. New customer acquisition has also grown by 2.2x, 122% in May over April, first 10 days, while setting all-time records. As we get more clarity on our Q2 plus growth trajectory, we intend to release updated forward-looking revenue targets. Now, what's very interesting is that the company on their latest kind of webinar that they did, looking over their investor presentation, they're guiding for over $5.5 million in revenue for the Q2 essentially. So that's, looking at April, May, and June. But what's very interesting is that we can take this data for the month of, May, potentially assume that it continues and that we see that 35% jump over May and use that in our revenue model and potentially coming up with a valuation for BIGG at this moment in time. Or rather, we're going to take a look at Netcoins first, the value of Netcoins. So when we look at April revenue, $1.55 million, if we assume a 35% increase month over month into May, we can assume around $2.1 million in revenue for the month of May, or a yearly revenue run rate of $25 million as of May, as of this month. So that puts the current price to sales ratio at 18.15. And this is the next very important thing I want to touch on. One of the people in the comment section said that, they look at Yahoo Finance and they see the market cap of the company at just a couple $100 million. We need to use the fully diluted share count for Big Digital because they have a lot of options and a lot of warrants that have yet to expire. Once those do expire, those will turn into shares, and the fully diluted share count at Big Digital is currently 270 million shares fully diluted. Now, the share price as of Friday's close, was right around $1.69. Again, this is Canadian, but when we look at the price to sales ratio metric, it translates to all exchanges, whether that be the OTC exchange in US dollars, or I think they might be listed on the Frankfurt exchange, but we're really taking a look at the price to sales ratio here. This gives us a market cap of $455 million at this moment in time, and when we use the current yearly revenue run rate on that market cap, we get a price to sales ratio of 18.15. Now, one of the very important things that we have to talk about before going any further, this does not price in any growth. What this tells me is what is BIGG's valuation at their current revenue run rate, where the business is right now. What is their valuation? When we talk about Netcoins as, a sole subsidiary, and assuming, kind of BIGG's market cap compared to Netcoins revenue, we get a price to sales ratio of 18. Now, I don't want to compare this to Voyager because I did that last time, and we do have to consider the fact that Voyager is a much larger company, but they just went ahead, reported their Q1 numbers, and they had an operating income margin of 50%, meaning that after all expenses, employees, advertising, and running the business, they had 50% of profits. So then you just calculate taxes from that, and you get a potential net income margin of around 35%. When we talk about Netcoins, their profitability won't be on that level, at least right now. But longer term, could I see Netcoins having that profitability, having those net income margins of 35-40%? Sure, I could. And when we look at a price to sales ratio of around 18, and assuming that potential profitability, it really does create a very, very interesting value proposition, especially considering the fact that this is just Netcoins that we're looking at its current valuation. We have a lot of catalysts coming up, whether that be introducing interest or staking, whether that be credit cards, debit cards, expansion into the United States and Europe over the next 3 to 5 months. There are so many different things. There's also them becoming the first fully regulated and licensed cryptocurrency exchange within Canada. There are a lot of catalysts here for Netcoins, right? And at their current valuation, having an 18 price to sales ratio, not pricing in any growth, really does kind of scratch your head as to, why are they not really pricing in much growth? And I think this is something that, kind of spans across the cryptocurrency, stock market as a whole, cryptocurrency related stocks being traded at very cheap valuations and very cheap multiples. I think that's one of the things that kind of is parallel with a company like Netcoins. Now, obviously, this is their current yearly revenue run rate. This is where the business is right now and the valuation that provides at the fully diluted market cap. Let's assume they see growth, and let's assume they see 25% growth month over month over the next roughly 6-7 months going into December. Why is this possible? They just grew revenues 31% from March to April. They just grew revenues potentially 35% from April to May. So seeing 25% growth is adding a bit of a conservative factor, but you also have to consider that, they're not just going to see growth from Canada moving forwards, but potentially from the United States and Europe throughout the summer. I think that's a major catalyst. And once they launch their app and once they, really introduce more coins and more, features such as interest, I think that will really propel growth moving forwards. And 25% compounded, I think that is a bit of a, kind of not conservative, but more of a realistic case for BIGG. Consider the fact that they are only at a $2.1 million monthly revenue run rate, so they are a very small company, and potentially getting up to $10 million in yearly or in monthly revenue by the end of the year is a very big possibility. Keep in mind, this puts them at roughly $120 million revenue run rate by the end of the year. They're currently trading at a market cap of $455 million. So looking at Netcoins alone, by the end of the year, we can assume a potential price to sales ratio at December revenue run rate levels of in and around 3 to 4. That is very, very cheap and kind of gives us a sense of, Netcoins alone adds a big value proposition to BIGG without even considering the fact of any potential growth in their security space, which we'll talk about in a moment. But just Netcoins alone makes BIGG look like a steal. Now that we know, Netcoins, how this kind of plays to their potential valuation, let's talk about Blockchain Intelligence Group. And when we talk about, Blockchain Intelligence Group, they're obviously focusing in on the security aspect of cryptocurrencies and really focusing in on creating a very safe and regulated environment by potentially ranking the risk levels of different transactions or websites, or through Clue being able to track down fraudulent activity within the cryptocurrency system. Now, what a lot of people point to is there's a couple private companies worth hundreds of millions, if not billions of dollars, that have roughly the same product as Big Digital. And what some people do is they say, because their market caps are that large and because they have similar products, Big should be trading at that same market cap. Not necessarily, because the stock market generally tends to price things based off of revenues and profits. Sure, you can price in potential, but you need to see potential with revenues and profits. So although Big may have a phenomenal product when it comes to Clue and BitRank, it may not be producing that much revenue at this moment in time. But longer term, I think regulation and safety within the cryptocurrency industry will be a very, very important factor, and one of the only ways to invest in the security and safety of cryptocurrencies is through Big Digital. So, when we talk about this company as a whole and the value proposition that it provides, when we look at Netcoins, it shows that the valuation is cheap, just looking at Netcoins' value proposition for the remainder of the year. But looking at Clue and looking at BitRank, I also see potential there for continued growth for the next 3, 5, 10 years as cryptocurrency security becomes a much bigger thing. Keep in mind, if we go into a bear market with cryptocurrencies, Netcoins probably isn't going to do too great. But when we look at Clue and BitRank, they don't need a bull market to do phenomenally. They just need more contracts and more institutions and more governments that want to kind of focus in on the security and regulation of cryptocurrencies. So when we look at those businesses, those will prosper no matter if we see a bear market or a bull market in cryptocurrencies. And I think what we have here with BIGG is a situation where Netcoins makes the valuation great. But what we're getting alongside that, pretty much for free, is the potential of Clue and BitRank. It's almost like a Tesla situation where you have the automotive side of their business and the energy side of their business that potentially create some strong fundamentals for an increase in share price over the coming years. But what you have as that wild card, as that cherry on top, is the autonomous aspect of their business and robo-taxis and self-driving cars. I think that's the situation with the Big Digital here, where you have Netcoins, which will most likely be responsible for an increase in share price over the coming months and over the coming years, but you're also going to have BitRank and Clue that will be strong drivers of potential growth moving forwards and are almost that cherry on top to a situation where, Netcoins will most likely, be enough for Big Digital. But if they succeed with Clue and BitRank, that is where the major potential kicks in. And although it is very difficult to come up with potential price targets for Big Digital looking out 1 year, looking out 5 years down the road, because of their small size and because of all these wild cards with new product launches and new users, new expansion, I do see potential with this stock, which leads me to my next point. What am I doing with Big Digital assets? What am I doing with this stock? Am I buying? Am I selling? I didn't think I'd say this before. Right? I talked about Big Digital back when it was actually pretty near its top. I made an analysis video and I said, it may be worth it to wait a little, because the valuation at that moment in time was pretty expensive. Looking at Netcoins, it priced the stock at a price to sales ratio of 30 to 35. I thought that was too expensive, but what we've seen over the past couple of weeks and past couple of months is the share price fall significantly and stabilize to a point where I am now intrigued, and adding on to the fact that Netcoins will continue growing and add that value proposition to a point where, if Clue or BitRank succeed, absolutely phenomenal, but they don't necessarily need to succeed for a Big Digital to succeed moving forwards. And that proposition right there makes me very interested with Big, and is why, as of today, I'm announcing this. As of Monday, if the share price doesn't increase in a massive way, I will start a position in Big Digital. How big? Only a couple percent roughly, not too big, but I will start a position in BIGG as a bit of a diversification play into the cryptocurrency security industry, because what I see is Netcoins, which will provide a phenomenal growth opportunity for the stock, but what I see is an opportunity to invest in the security and regulation and safety of cryptocurrencies alongside that, and that is something that no other publicly traded company really offers. And that is why I want to add a couple of percentage points. I'm invested in Voyager Digital pretty heavily. It's a company that I believe in a massive way, but they're not getting into the security and the safety industry of cryptocurrencies. And, obviously I understand the brokerage space within cryptocurrencies very well. And when I look at Netcoins, although their current business may not have that, absolutely massive differentiating factor like something like a Voyager or a Kraken may have, I think longer term, over the next couple of months and over the next couple of years, as they continue to expand into new products such as credit cards and interest and add new coins, I think there's a lot of potential here. I don't think the cryptocurrency brokerage market is going to be a winner-take-all scenario, and I think Netcoins, as long as they continue with their marketing campaign and influencer partnerships and expand into the United States and Europe very well, I think there's a lot of opportunity there. So, I'm excited about this stock. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. I really appreciate you all being here and watching this video to the very end. So if you found any value, please consider subscribing, and see you all in the next one. Bye.